I told you guys it's going to be a short video, but I just want to show you guys not that much has changed. And this is just the 1960s. This is just the 1960s, guys. This is just the 1960s. This is just the 1960s. Y'all keep thinking so much has changed. I hear that time and time again. Whoever don't catch this today, good morning to you. People think in the 1960s, we really came a long way, us black people. We really came a long way. That's what we think. Now I want to get into this, and hopefully, y'all can catch it on a replay. Because y'all know if y'all don't, I'm going to play it again on a replay. Well, let's check out the 1960s, guys. We're going to check it out. Like I said, time is limited on this page. So we're going to start the show. Not too much time has passed. Like I said, not a lot of hours, not mine, but some of our parents, if you're young on this channel, were born. Your parents was born in the 60s, if you're young. And if you are like maybe my age bracket or a couple, like 5 or 6 years ahead of me, you were most likely born in the mid-60s to the late 60s. So if you like between 54 and 60 years old, guess what? This was going on. And you didn't even think about it, huh? You never would think that in the South, this was going on in the 1960s. Let me start this because y'all know my time. You don't get that much time here on this channel. We only get an hour or less. Let's start this daggone show. 1960. And this is fair use. Let's go.
It's $7 and you guarantee you if you pull today and we pull what we got to pull today, you have $11 in your pocket.
This is not taking place in the Congo. It has nothing to do with Johannesburg or Cape Town. It is not Nyasaland or Nigeria. This is Florida.
Oh,
These
shit.
are citizens of
Damn
the
it.
United States, 1960.
I ain't share it.
This is a shape-up for migrant workers. The hawkers are chanting the going peace rate at the various fields. This is the way the humans who harvest the food for the best-fed people in the world get hired.
It's $7 and you guarantee you if you pull today and we pull what we got to pull today, you have $11 in your pocket.
This is not taking place in the Congo. It has nothing to do with Johannesburg or Cape Town. It is not Nyasaland or Nigeria. This is Florida. These are citizens of the United States, 1960. This is a shape-up for migrant workers. The hawkers are chanting the going peace rate at the various fields. This is the way the humans who harvest the food for the best-fed people in the world get hired. One farmer looked at this and said, "We used to own our slaves. Now we just rent them." The Secretary of Labor looked at the migrant plight and said,
I think they're the great mass of what I call the excluded Americans. They are people who cry out, workers and their children and their wives, who cry out for some assistance, and whose plight is a shame. It's a shame in America.
The president of the American Farm Bureau Federation, the largest farmers organization, says,
I think that most social workers would agree that it's better for a man to be employed, even if his capacity is such as to limit his income. And we take the position that it's far better to have thousands of these folks who are practically unemployable, earning some money, doing some productive work for at least a few days in the year.
this is an American story that begins in Florida and ends in New Jersey and New York State with the harvest. It is a 1960 Grapes of Wrath that begins at the Mexican border in California and ends in Oregon and Washington. It is the story of men and women and children who work 136 days of the year and average $900 a year. They travel in buses. They ride trucks. They follow the sun.
Well, I don't know. It don't look like we'll ever get ahead. I guess we'll just have to keep going till we can find something better.
A minister named Cassidy, who works with them, says,
They are just as bad as a slave. Only on name they are not a slave, but in the way they are treated, they are worse than a slave. And somebody has made thousands of dollars out of his sweat. Is that a slave or not?
they are the migrants, workers in the sweatshops of the soil, the harvest of shame.
Brought to you tonight by Philip Morris Incorporated, makers of
People would not be laden with the luxuries that we have all come to regard as essentials. We should like you to meet some of your fellow citizens who harvest the food for the best fed nation on earth.
David Lowe talks to Mrs. Dobie, 34 years old, mother of 9 children.
Mrs. Dobie, what things do you pick up north?
We pick strawberries and cherries.
Who works with you of this family here?
Everybody except the baby.
Who takes care of them in the field?
Well, they just kindly stay along with us or take care of themselves. One that can't walk usually stays in the baby buggy.
What is an average dinner for the family?
Well, you mean what do we have in,
Yes.
I cook a pot of beans and fry some potatoes or some corn or something like that.
But eat them damn cherries.
For the children?
Well, we don't have milk except maybe when we draw our paycheck, we have milk about once a week.
For all these children, you have
The
milk?
baby has, she is on the bottle and she uses about 15 cans of milk a week. But the older children have milk about once a week.
Do they like to drink milk, Mrs. Dobie?
Yes, they like milk.
The only reason I asked that question, I was quite shocked that they had milk only once a week.
Just thought they didn't like it, but they like milk, but there's so many, a gallon of milk will make them a glass around, and so we just can't afford it every day.
What do you want most for your children, Mrs. Dobie?
Well, I'd like for them to have a career, whatever they want to be. When they got older, of course, the smaller ones, don't realize yet to know what they'd like to be. But the older girl, she'd like to go to school if she could. Well, she'd probably be like the boy, have to quit as soon as she's old enough. She really likes to go to school, but she had to miss last week because she had to keep the baby for me to work.
How to escape the heat if you don't have an air conditioner. This only takes 5 minutes. If you're tired of hot and stuffy rooms or high AC bills during summer, you have to see this. This genius way to cool any room in 90 seconds for almost zero cost is taking over the market like crazy in the US. The device is destroying the billion-dollar AC industry by offering people a simple and affordable way to cool down their homes in minutes. I'm Howard, and I've been a space cooling expert for the past 15 years. The way we cool all our buildings with AC right now is totally wrong. If you look at the way modern buildings are designed, there's no natural ventilation. So once the heat is trapped inside our homes, there's no way to get it out. That's why we count on modern air conditioning to solve the problem. But this cooling technique is extremely costly and consumes massive amounts of energy. The average home costs $245 a month to cool with regular aircon, and every time we turn on the AC to cool our home, we are warming the planet. So, you can imagine what would happen if everybody started using air conditioning. But the billion-dollar aircon industry simply isn't interested in making aircon energy efficient. So I decided to take matters into my own hands and started looking for an affordable alternative. After doing research, I rediscovered a forgotten cooling technique used in ancient India. Thousands of years ago, the people there used these traditional earthen pots for cooling water. They used this all-natural cooling system centuries ago without having to rely on external energy sources, and it worked just fine. So I came up with the idea of using the same technology for cooling air. I designed a prototype that pours water over a handmade filter, letting the air pass through it, so the air that comes out is naturally cooled. I tested the prototype, and the results were incredible. Under controlled testing, temperatures in the test environment dropped from 95 to 65 degrees in just 2 minutes while using 98% less energy than regular AC systems.
Mrs. Doby, wouldn't you ever care to have a house of...
They carry with them whatever little they possess, whatever little they are. At the Okeechobee labor camp, while families were preparing to move north, there was still some work in the bean fields. Children, as usual, were left to fend for themselves.
Jerome, how old are you?
9.
9. Do you go to school?
Yes.
Where do you go to school, Jerome?
At the Okeechobee Elementary School.
I see. What is your sister's name?
Lois.
That's Lois. And what are your other sisters' names?
Catherine. And Beulah.
Catherine and Beulah.
Hey, Jack.
What happened to your foot, Jerome?
No one.
At the by the wash house.
So you drove a nail in out by the wash house.
Ouch.
What did your mother do for that?
She put some alcohol on it.
Where do you sleep, Jerome?
In his bed.
You have this big bed?
Yes.
What happened? How did you get that hole in that bed there, Jerome?
The rats.
The what?
Rats.
Now, Jerome, you are taking care of Kathy, of Beulah, and Lois.
Yes.
Now, are you going to give them lunch today?
Yes.
What are you going to feed them?
I don't know.
Do you have any food here to give them?
Yes.
Hey, Coffee.
What time does your mother come home?
I don't know.
The following day, Aline King, the mother of Jerome, Kathy, Lois, and Beulah, again was picking beans.
Aileen King, I saw your children yesterday at the Okeechobee camp. Why didn't you put them in the nursery?
I don't make enough to pay for it.
How much does it cost to put them in?
85 cents.
85 cents.
That's right.
Aileen, what time did you come out the field this morning?
6 o'clock.
What time would you get home?
About 3:30, 4 o'clock.
6 this morning to 4 o'clock this afternoon.
That's right.
How much did you earn?
$1.
$1?
That's right. $1.
Is that because the beans were of poor quality?
That's right.
And I repeat, and I will repeat, whoever is 55 years and older, whoever's 55 to 56 years and older, this is only 1960. This is excuse me. This is 1960. This was still going on in 1960, where they make us think that the music was popping, we was having such a good life. This was still going on in a lot of the southern states. Did you see the nail was still in the boy's foot? The nail was still in the boy's foot. and all she could do was pour alcohol on it. She couldn't even take the damn nail out the foot. I don't even know if the boy still got the foot now. We don't know. We got to find that little boy. Let's look for a 50, a late guy in the late 50s, early 60s. Let's see, find the guy with the nail in the foot and ask him what happened. Because it's crazy that there's like that young man is still, unless something happened, they are still living now. They are still living now. So let's not think this is back in the early slavery days. This is, as you see on the title, 1960. People get too caught up with, that was so long ago. It wasn't that long ago. I'm going to rewind that just a teeny bit. Remember, we only get an hour on here. That's all you get. That's all you can get on here.
Which ends in late November. They carry with them whatever little they possess, whatever little they are. At the Okeechobee labor camp, while families were preparing to move north, there was still some work in the bean fields. Children, as usual, were left to fend for themselves.
Jerome, how old are you?
9.
9. Do you go to school?
Yes.
Where do you go to school, Jerome?
At the Okeechobee Elementary School.
I see. What is your sister's name?
Lois.
That's Lois. And what are your other sisters' names?
Catherine. And Beulah.
Catherine and Beulah. What happened to your foot, Jerome?
Dig a nail in out there by the wash house.
So you drove a nail in out by the wash house. What did your mother do for that?
She put some alcohol on it.
Where do you sleep, Jerome?
In his bed.
You have this big bed?
Yes.
What happened? How did you get that hole in that bed there, Jerome?
The rats.
The what?
Rats.
Now, Jerome, you are taking care of Kathy, of Beulah, and Lois.
Yes.
Now, are you going to give them lunch today?
Yes.
What are you going to feed them?
I don't know.
Do you have any food here to give them?
Yes.
I see. What time does your mother come home?
I don't know.
The following day, Aline King, the mother of Jerome, Kathy, Lois, and Beulah, again was picking beans.
Aileen King, I saw your children yesterday at the Okeechobee camp. Why didn't you put them in the nursery?
I don't make enough to pay for it.
How much does it cost to put them in?
85 cents.
85 cents.
That's right.
Aileen, what time did you come out the field this morning?
6 o'clock.
What time will you get home?
About 3:30, 4 o'clock.
6 this morning to 4 o'clock this afternoon.
That's right.
How much did you earn?
$1.
$1?
That's right. $1.
Is that because the beans were of poor quality?
That's right.
Has this happened before?
That's right.
How much will your food cost you today?
About $2.
Aileen, how old are you?
29.
How many children do you have?
14.
How old were you when you first started working in the fields?
8.
You've been working 21 years in the fields?
That's right.
Aileen, do you ever think you'll be able to get out of this kind of work?
No, sir.
All the migrants travel fourth class. If there is a privileged class, they ride in their own jalopy, in the best Jode family tradition. The long journey begins. Through Atlanta, Nashville, Indianapolis, en route to the fields and orchards of America. Lowe has been following the migrants for the past 9 months. Some are freewheelers who travel as a family unit. He met the Parsons family as they were about to leave Belgrade tomatoes for Indiana strawberries.
Mr. Parsons, do you think the farmers you work for care about your problems?
No, sir. They're not in particular worried about you. They just want their stuff out and you get away as quick as possible.
Would you say that you're welcomed when you're needed?
Well, that is the only time that you are welcome is when they are needing you. They're friendly and everything, but once they're done with you, well, they'd rather for you to move.
Did they ever ask you to leave their places?
Oh, yeah. They tell you if you finishing up like tomorrow, well, they had rather for you to be out and gone in about 3 days, and that way it'll cut down on their electric bills and all of the other stuff.
What do you want most in this world for you and your family?
I'd like for my family to be well, stay together as much as possible. I'd like to be on a farm somewhere out away from so many people to where they could attend one church and be interested mostly in one school.
Darien, Georgia, for facility. A roadside stop en route in South Carolina. "1,000 miles north of Belgrade, Florida, by way of U.S. Route 17 and 301. Through Jacksonville, Savannah, Charleston, Wilmington, and New Bern is Elizabeth City, North Carolina. A bean stop, good for 6 weeks' work. This camp was home for 40 days for the families of Tom Lockett's crew, now 30 hours out of Belgrade.
Miss Blakely, how many years have you been working in agriculture, in the fields?
Oh, frankly, all of my life. I haven't did no other work much but in the field all of my life. I raised all my kids working in the field.
I noticed that there's some straw over there. What is that for?
Well, that was the straw they brought for the people to sleep on.
Well, weren't mattresses supplied here?
They used to be, but they ain't now.
Mrs. Blakely, where is the water supply over here?
That's it right there.
For how many people?
For this and that over yonder, they all use the same.
And how many bathrooms are there here?
Now,
Where do you use the bathroom? Where are the facilities?
don't have one. We use our tin tubes.
Mrs. Brown, how did the children fare on the journey up north?
Well, they got kind of fretful, and got so riding, handling them. But we made it.
Miss Brown, may I ask how old you are?
I'm 37.
Mrs. Brown, how many years have you been working in the fields?
All my life.
Do you remember how old you were when you started?
I was about 8 years old.
Would you like to get out of this work?
I sure would.
Do you think you'll ever be
Hey,
able to?
love.
I'm hoping so.
Do you think you'll be able to, though?
I don't know.
20 miles from Kitty Hawk, North Carolina. The workers, driven 900 miles north by crew leader Norman Hall, picked beans at the
My
prevailing
tea
rate of
biscuit.
50 cents a hamper. Lunch is not a picnic, whether brought from the labor camp or purchased at the open-air kitchen, or in a bottle, heated by the rays of the sun.
In a survey in 21 states conducted by the National Council of Churches, the migrants themselves listed the evils of labor camp life. Bad housing, flies, mosquitoes, dirty beds and mattresses, unsanitary toilets, and lack of hot water for bathing. One employer of hundreds of migrant laborers was asked, are they happy people?
Well, I guess they got a little gypsy in their blood. They just like it. A lot of them wouldn't do anything else. A lot of them don't know any different. That's all they want to do. They love it. They love to go from place to place. They don't have a worry in the world. They're happier than we are. Today, they eat. Tomorrow, they don't worry about. They're the happiest race of people on earth.
Mr. Jones, do you think that the migratory laborer makes a living wage?
They make a poor living. In other words, sometimes it's just like the farmer. Sometimes when things are good, when the yields are good and they can make good money, they make a good living. But take year in and year out from different seasons, different sections of the country, I'd say no, they make a poor living.
There are days when beans are not ready for harvest, and that's one more day with no income. Ed King, a crew leader, hauled his workers to this camp at Powell's Landing, Virginia, where they worked 5 weeks pulling corn and picking beans. And when the fields have been stripped in North Carolina and Virginia, the trucks and buses again move north. This is Little Creek Ferry, outside of Norfolk. 20,000 migrants are ferried to the fertile fields of the Virginia Cape and the eastern shores of Maryland and Delaware for beans, tomatoes, asparagus, and potatoes. For one crew, hardship was climaxed by disaster, the death of a migrant.
We had a little trouble on the road about 4 o'clock this morning, Sunday morning, and a car, and a little red, one to kill.
Has this ever happened before with any crews coming up north?
Once I remember, was the state of North Carolina.
What happened?
Everybody got killed.
Every year, as predictable as the seasons, there are accidents resulting in death and serious injury to these laborers. On June 6, 1957, at the intersection of U.S. Route 301 and State Highway 102, 9 miles from Fayetteville, North Carolina, 21 migrants were killed, 17 males, 3 females, and the baby boy. The police report stated one of the causes of the high loss of life was the packaging of the occupants of the truck.
Today, only 6 states have laws providing for the safe transportation of migrants within their borders. The state of North Carolina is not one of the 6.
Secretary of Labor Mitchell.
Hardly a year goes by that we don't read in the paper of some very serious accident where sometimes a dozen or more people have been killed purely because there is no interstate standard with regard to safety.
Another complication of the migrant stream is the constant flow of foreign workers into the available pool of domestic workers. Hundreds of thousands of Mexican braceros and thousands of offshore laborers from the Caribbean area, hired by contract, depress the wage scale of the domestic migrant. This controversy is most bitter on the West Coast. Joseph Woods, a Marine combat veteran of the Pacific, competes against the braceros. Lowe talked to the Woods family under a tree, which was their home in California.
Mr. Woods, how did you happen to pick this spot to camp?
Well, someone told us about it, and they said it was all right to camp here.
Where do you get your water supply?
We go to town after it.
And how do you bring it back here?
In cans. We have a 10-gallon can.
What do you use for sanitary facilities, Mr. Woods?
Well, just get by the best we can.
How many days will you have to be picking cherries in order to find enough money to move into a house, Mr.
Well,
Woods?
probably quite a few. They usually want a month's rent in advance, so by the time the cherries are over here, we'll be moving somewhere else anyway.
Mrs. Wood, tell me about the children. Do they go out in the orchards and work with you when you work?
Well, we have taken them out sometimes, but they're a little too small to work.
Who takes care of them here?
My father stays here and takes care of them usually.
Do you think that you'll ever make enough money picking fruit, Mr. Woods, in order to get settled down in one place and have a home of your own?
I don't think so.
Throughout the United States, there are others, like the Woods family, who are not able to enjoy the luxury of living in a labor camp. In New Jersey, a few miles from Princeton, is this labor camp. There are 2 water taps and 2 outhouses. Families live in one room, usually in one bed. The single men live in the bull pit. Their space, one bunk. 4 people live in this room in New Jersey. A family of 6 will move into this room. Nearby, a trotting raceway has new stables for horses. They cost $500,000. At Cutchogue, New York, 300 migrants live in this camp owned and operated by the Potato Growers Association of Long Island. This is migrant housing, 90 miles from Times Square. Some have tried to leave the endless migratory stream. Wherever this happens, the local slum areas expand. This is Riverhead, Long Island, New York. A minister said, "This is as primitive as man can live." This settlement of former migrants is called the Bottoms. In Shenango County, New York State, a farm labor camp. The ultimate goal of Ed King's crew, 1,257 miles from Belglade. The migrant mission serves 1/2 pint of milk and 1 cracker to each child. This is their lunch. Their parents eat lunch in the field, sometimes 75 miles away. This is the living space of Eileen King and her 5 children. The room is similar to their winter quarters in Belglade, only smaller. Charles Schumann, president of the American Farm Bureau Federation, says,
"We're the only group of people that furnish housing for our workers. And we furnish these extra benefits, perquisites. Some sections call it the furnish. And it's almost impossible to calculate the value of these added benefits. At the same time, we don't condone inadequate housing."
Mr. Schumann, why does the American Farm Bureau Federation so violently oppose federal legislation?
I think there'll be more rapid progress with state regulation than there will be with federal regulation. We think that federal legislation will follow the route that almost all federal legislation does, of additional and more stringent and more regulations with more and more red tape, and more cutting to a certain pattern all over the country. And in fact, it would probably rule out the use of migrant labor very quickly.
the middleman between the farmer and the migrant is the crew leader, a remnant of the padrone system in wide use 60 years ago. Ed King, a crew leader, says,
"Well, a crew leader, he have to be the father and mother and all when he takes this crew out, because the whole crew will mostly be dependent direct on him."
Reverend Michael Cassidy, who travels with the migrants, says,
Well, some of the crew leaders, they are good, but the majority of them, they are bad. They are so bad that they are the worst that they can be. They're trying to skin alive these migrants. They take every dime they make. They try every scheme is possible. For instance, they pay the owner.
There's no case upon the record.
They have been coming to New Jersey now for about 3 or 4 years, to my knowledge. Laura is one of my returning pupils. I've seen great progress from year to year in Laura. We've had her for 3 sessions. However, I think because of the family's financial conditions and the size of the family and the fact that she is in a rural area, that she probably will get no farther than upper junior high school or maybe complete high school with luck.
What about Harriet Damon?
Harriet, too, is from a very large family. There are 9 children in the Damon family. We have 6 of them here in the summer program. She is the oldest of the 9. I doubt seriously that Harriet will have an opportunity to advance her education. One can.
Now, Jack, it is straight up. Oh, we ain't finished yet, but don't forget these videos. This channel is an hour or less. I just like to say to you guys, at no point in time where you see tradition, where are the traditional women at? I just have to just keep pointing that out because maybe it's me, but I know I watch a lot of these things, and so are you guys. You guys are going to watch a lot of these shows too. So I'm still looking for the traditional women. When we was out there struggling, I don't care where you're from. When us black kids were struggling, only thing we thought about for our young women and our young men was education. I don't see where they was worrying about her becoming a mother. I don't see where they was worrying about her getting married. I don't see none of the. I seen this take place when we got some money in our pocket and then the middle class was created. Yeah, when the middle class was created. But rather than that, we have always, us black people, compared to all the different content creators that make money disrespecting black women, telling black women about how to be traditional, how to be more feminine, from what history shows us, not from what I think, but from what history shows us, it is not true. It is not true. We have not seen anything yet from any point in time. This is the 1960s. If kids did not finish school, not the woman, but if kids did not finish school, it was because of poverty. But as you see, the woman is a teacher. So this is 1960. She had to be born in 1940, right? Somewhere in the 40s, the end of the 30s, the 40s. And she is a school teacher. It wasn't, but as we see, hi, Black American aspect. But as we see, we're not going by what was very revolutionary. It was not everywhere. It was not everywhere because maybe you didn't see this video. Maybe you're going to see the next one. It was not revolutionary yet. And it was not revolutionary everywhere, especially in the southern states. See, people look at some states and they think that's the whole America. It's not. Or people go by what they see on TV. These are true stories with real people. With real people. You know, they show you Harlem. They show you Harlem in the 60s. They may show you Chicago. But these people didn't get there yet. So it wasn't revolutionary. And guess what? Back then, it may appeared that it was revolutionary. When we get to the end of the 60s. But we still had to go through the back doors. We still couldn't eat at their tables. What was so revolutionary when we still couldn't go into their stores? Yes, TV show was what they want us to see. We couldn't go into their stores. We couldn't sit at their tables. We had to go to the back doors just to perform. That's why I put on real stories with real people so we can see how it really was. So we can get off of this notion, like when we hear the rhetoric and all the bull crap about traditional this and traditional that, we would know it's not true. What did this lady? These people weren't about education for children. They didn't say men and not women. They was worrying about the education of, that's all that mattered, was education. So now that we're getting the education, they don't want us to get they don't want the black women to get the education. No, do you notice that in every video, these women had 10 kids, 11 kids, 9 kids. Do you know the struggle with all of them kids? And did you see the boy? I don't know if y'all was in here in the beginning. Did you see the boy? His mother was at work. He has a nail in his foot. The mother could just pour alcohol on it. She couldn't even take the poor baby to the doctor. And the house is full. They sleeping on a bed that has nothing but holes in it because the rats ate it up. The rats ate it up. It is what it is. Let me hurry up because on this channel we ain't got too much time.
Can't help but have compassion for those who find themselves in such a condition.
The federal government spends $6.5 million annually protecting migratory wildlife. This year, Congress failed to appropriate $3.5 million to educate migratory children. Senator Harrison Williams, chairman of the Subcommittee on Migratory Labor, was asked...
And this is New Jersey. This is just New Jersey. Right down the block. Not a real block, but right down the block from New York City.
State or federal legislation was the answer.
Many aspects can only be successfully dealt with at a national level. For example, wages. We see states in competitive positions. They're reluctant to raise wages through legislation in their state because their farmers are competing with farmers in other states. And we see in education some states who have taken great strides. We can't expect states to do it alone when they know their neighboring state with whom their farmers compete are not doing anything. We know that just about everybody in this country has some federal support for adequate housing through FHA or whatever the program is, except the farm community. And the migrant farmer is the most poorly housed member of our society.
Senator Williams, a Democrat, and Secretary of Labor Mitchell, a Republican, have called for legislation which will probably come before the next session of Congress. And only last week, President Eisenhower made the Presidential Committee on Migrants a permanent body. But the real problem is that there are many kinds of farmers and many kinds of crops. The big mechanized grain and dairy farmers use little or no migrant labor. Some of the major tanneries do pay fair wages and provide adequate housing. However, it must be stated that most of the fruit and vegetable farmers find it economically impossible to build good housing like this to be used only 6 weeks a year. The farmer claims he is trapped between what society expects and his market demands. Howard Jones, a grower in Florida, was...
I don't talk to y'all too much, so I got to get to the next one. Let me get to the next one. Have to get to the next one. Let me get to the next one. Oops. Oops. Let me get to the next one. Because these are like real, I try to keep them short and sweet over here. Okay, here we go.
And the majority of them live on farms. While many of these farmers have achieved independence and perhaps prosperity, all too many barely make a living. In common with all other southern farmers, They have suffered from a train of evils that have their roots in poor farming, particularly one-crop farming. For over 30 years, agricultural extension workers have labored to eradicate these evils. The demonstration work, founded long ago by the late Dr. Seaman A. Knapp, has grown into a nationwide extension service. This map shows the status of this work among Negroes in 1937. There are over 225 agricultural agents and about 175 home demonstration agents now working for better farming and better living among Southern Negroes. Aunt Sally Smith, born in Africa and long past her 110th year when she died in 1937, lived to see the hard lot endured by her generation and that of her children in some measure bettered by this campaign to help Negroes help themselves. In the nature of things, extension work among the poorer farmers, living in houses like these, on small farms, often on unproductive soil, must deal with fundamentals. Thus, the problem of the Negro farmer is like the proverbial problem of lifting yourself by your own bootstraps. He has little or no cash income. It is no mere pleasantry to say that for these folks the hound dog is a useful farm animal, and that hunting and fishing are not sports primarily, but necessary means for providing fresh meat. Under such conditions, the farm agent's problem is one of making the most of small resources. Here, for example, is a one-room cabin in the cotton country. The farm, 3 acres of thin, sour land. The household, mind you, they all sleep together on pallets in this little cabin. 12 persons. This primitive home, this big household, this small, thin-soiled farm, these exemplify the conditions in question at their worst. Live at home is the watchword of the extension program, and a good home garden the first objective, or otherwise a proper standard of physical well-being cannot be attained. Here's a well-planned home garden, large enough to supply the needs of a big family with something left over for market. Another garden farther south, where okra is a garden staple. Where it is the practice to can surplus fruit and vegetables, such a garden may go far towards supplying the family living. In the truck-growing districts, many families make their living from the sale of vegetables. Here is a farm devoted largely to the growing of eggplant. Thus, the garden may be expanded to furnish most of the cash income of the farm. In any event, the garden remains a major feature of the extension program. Crop improvement work may begin with a neighborhood demonstration by the county agricultural agent, an agent demonstrating approved standards for the selection of seed corn. The lessons learned from such demonstrations are fundamental. The county agent gives a group of his 4-H club boys a lesson in seed corn selection in the field. Proof of the value of this work is such a cornfield as this on the farm of a cooperator, or this field of corn and soybeans. Note the luxuriant growth of the soil improvement crop between the rows of corn. Harvesting tobacco on the land of a farmer who works in close cooperation with his county agent in the work that is being done to improve the methods of handling this crop. This farmer gives each of his children a definite share in the proceeds of the crop. These little girls are working not only for the family, but also for themselves.
The little
There's
girls.
personal pride back of this dexterity. With the help of extension specialists, farmers in the peanut region.
I cannot tell you enough. Please show me your time in our history that black girls Thank you, Nicole. Show me a time in history where black girls was not working. I'll wait, I'll. So next time when they start talking that crap, at least you can like, show me a time. I don't want to hear about statistics. I don't want to hear about none of that shit. Show me a time when women were not working. I'm not that you call traditional. When were we ever traditional? I'm not talking about the 60s, the late 60s, and the 70s and the 80s when we became part of the middle class. But the only reason why we became part of the middle class is because what? We went to school and it was a two family income. Even when the man was working, the woman always had a side job. No different from today for struggling people. Hey, try to buy some gas today in 2022. Buy some gas and some food. All you got enough is for rent, food, and gas. You bet anything in between, anything in between, good luck. Good luck. For the in between, you better hit them, even though it's not a dollar store no more, but it's $1.25, $1.20, $1.50. That's your best store, the dollar store. That's all I could tell you. Now, women work in all these damn fields. We were working. Jeez.
Are giving more and more consideration to the problems of handling this important crop. In certain districts, the extension workers have pushed the production of long staple cotton, a Negro family picking Sea Island cotton grown from seed secured through the help of the county agricultural agent.
You know how light them bags are?
A group of 4-H Cotton Club boys, each delivering his bale to the warehouse. The success of each of these boys necessarily has a good effect on the cotton farming of his neighborhood. These bales are silent witnesses for the cause of better agriculture. Soil conservation is a major feature of the extension program. Farmers are urged to plow and cultivate on contours and follow other approved practices. A crew preparing for terracing under the direction of an extension agent. Note that the job is done with simple and inexpensive equipment. Such modern practice is becoming common among these farmers, as is the use of soil improvement crops, such as soybeans, cowpeas, lespedeza, Austrian winter peas, and vetch. Witness this fine stand of Japan clover. On the left, the farmer who grew this crop. The farm poultry flock is a factor of major importance in the Live at Home program. These barred rocks provide essentials needed for balancing the diet of the household, as well as with eggs and fryers for sale or trade.
One of them chickens would have went home with me. Damn that. One of them chickens would have went home.
This flock of Rhode Island Reds is the pride and joy of a former 4-H club member. Poultry is a profitable demonstration for both boys and girls, and is stressed as one of the main enterprises in the Live at Home program. This 4-H club boy took his chickens to school with him, and with the proceeds from sale of eggs, he is paying his way at a preparatory institution. A way to get an education if you have what it takes.
Yeah, take the chickens to school. Damn.
In many communities, turkeys are a profitable source of cash income. And occasionally, we find a man who goes into poultry in a commercial way. This is the plant of a farmer who specializes in white leghorns. Livestock improvement work is done largely through the boys and girls.
Hey, baby. Hey, book.
Some calf club boys get pointers on how to judge a dairy cow. And here is the business end of another 4-H calf club enterprise. These purebred jerseys have a high record for butterfat production. Particularly in Alabama, local veterinarians with vaccinating equipment in cooperation with the county agent, have trained many farmers to help stamp out hog collar. The farmers in a community can get the job done quickly and economically under this plan. These hogs, raised by a 4-H club boy, show their good breeding. There's profit in well-bred swine. Grade hogs like these, from native razorback sows bred to good boars, are finding a ready sale on local markets.
Then they could get corn, but we can't get no corn. He eat one of them corns that'll tear him up.
A neighborhood dairy demonstration made by a girls' 4-H club under the direction of the home demonstration agent. Clean milk is a prime objective, and county home demonstration agents cooperate with the women of their communities in making all possible improvements in sanitation in the handling of dairy products.
But us women don't do nothing, right?
Where such herds as this are the rule, a long step has been taken toward breaking the regime of fatback and sorghum under which pellagra has resulted and become a curse. In such neighborhoods, fresh and pure dairy products are available for all 3 times a day. An adequate family supply of dairy and poultry products, combined with vegetables and fruits from the home garden, helps to safeguard the family health. Clean, wholesome farm butter, good homemade cheese, and other dairy products find a ready market when a surplus in excess of family needs is produced. Occasionally, a farmer takes to dairying in a big way. Witness this big herd, which furnishes grade A milk to a thriving southern city. In the southern coastal plain, the woods are full of scrub cattle, the so-called piney woods breed. Negro extension workers there have inaugurated a Better Sires campaign, breeding for beef with purebred bulls. Here is one of their Aberdeen Angus community bulls.
That's an Angus bull. An Angus.
And here, grade cattle produced by crossing native cows with such bulls. There has been an increasing use of purebred bulls to improve the quality of beef for market and for foundation herds.
They should never been mixed.
Demonstration in approved methods of curing pork. Home canning and curing of the family meat supply saves cash. No outlay is needed for bringing home the bacon, where farmers are thrifty and follow approved meat curing and smoking methods. A smokehouse is a necessity on the southern farm, for what is home without a ham? This is a modern concrete smokehouse, but hams from the relatively inexpensive old-time farm smokehouse will smell just as sweet and stick just as close to the ribs as those from some more modern structure. The ham is what counts. The sorghum mill, an institution of long standing, plays an important part in the Live at Home campaign. The product of this home manufacturing plant is a staple that goes far toward reducing cash outlay for food, supplying a cheap sweet that has its place in maintaining the balance desired in the family diet. Furthermore, such a mill often yields sorghum or cane syrup for sale. Thus, the Live at Home program pays dividends, always in saving and sometimes in cash.
Us black folks was working, boy. We used to work in as people. We are the working as
Home canning
people.
of food products is a fundamental feature of the Live at Home program. A well-filled pantry is not only the best insurance against sickness, but it saves money. A year's food supply for a family of 5 in this section may be worth several $100s. Since money saved is money made, the women and girls, through such activities as this, add to the farm family income and at the same time safeguard the family health. A well-constructed smokehouse such as this makes a good storage place for canned products in regions where there is no danger from freezing. These well-filled shelves show what the energetic housewife can do toward providing the family living. A canning demonstration under the supervision of a county home demonstration agent. On such occasions, the women of a community meet and do their work in common, using community equipment, while the agent supervises the work and gives instruction in approved methods of procedure where necessary.
Think of that. Look at that. Us women sat there and we, not the men, Us women had to save the food industry. We had to save the food industry. We had to learn how to can food, curate the food, make it safe for us to eat. So that must mean we were scientists. We were scientists back then. While we studying food and learning how to make the jam and that's science work. That is science. We had to make sure everything was safe because we were getting sick. And we had to make the butter, we had to make the milk, preserve it, take the poison out. Shit. Baby, I just thank God I was not born back then because people, y'all be messed up. Y'all be all messed up because I know I'm not doing it. But you had to because the vegetables farming was not easy. It wasn't easy. And they keep saying when the money go, the system is going to fall. Unless these Negroes in these days and time know how to do that, what's your point? I hear it all the time in every video. The money going to fall. We're going to need the men. But as we see, the men needed the women. When it came down to the food, the men needed the women. Yeah. We was out there. Yes, we can. We can do it. We was out there in the field with them. We picked stuff with them. We got the tobacco. We got the eggplant. We did everything. But they didn't know what to do with it to keep us alive. We had to do that too. We had to do that too. So if the system falls, I think the men is going to need the woman a little bit more as what we see. And if history repeats itself, the men is going to need us a little bit more than what we going to need them. Shit. They had to come together with the women to learn. Yo, every time you watch something, we get so much more like intelligent, and I'm not gonna say intelligent, but we see more insight, and then we see how much bullshit they talk today. We see how much bullshit they talk today. Again, these are real life people doing real life things. So, if what they say now has to be true then. So what they did to throw you off is they put things on the paper and they said, well, statistically, blah, blah, blah. No, I want to see it myself. As I see it myself, it doesn't agree with what you're saying. So I don't know if I'm going to need a man if the system falls. I don't think I'm going to need a man. Sorry. We've been figuring stuff out all along. Right, women? Us women been figuring out stuff all along. Shit. This video is almost finished and we almost out of here. Why? Because I only could give you an hour on here. I only could give you an hour. Let's see how much time I gave you so far. Oh, we're a little bit over an hour.
Here is a simple homemade canning outfit which is used in community canning where better equipment is not available. A neighborhood canning bee in which the home demonstration agent directs the work. This is typical of neighborhood group activity. And here's an exceptionally well-organized and productive community canning enterprise. Once each week during the summer season, the people of this community gather in this grove to can their products cooperatively. The women prepare the fruits, vegetables, or meat products for canning. The men cut the wood, keep the fire going in the furnace, and handle the heavy pressure cookers. And everybody has a grand time. It's a sort of weekly community picnic that pays dividends in food put up for winter.
We figured that out too. Ain't that something?
Shuttered windows with no sash and no screen are the usual thing in the cabins of many of the poorer farmers. In cold weather, these shutters are kept closed. Doors are seldom screened. Thus, the first step toward providing better housing is to guard against disease, to screen out the malaria mosquito and the typhoid fly. This is a common type of back house. Typhoid flies have easy access here. The approved type of farmstead toilet is not expensive, but provides adequate protection from diseases carried by flies. After sanitation come other home improvements that make for comfort and self-respect. Many a cabin like this, built in the simple and pleasing traditional style of the region, has been made a home to be proud of by the application of a few cents worth of lime whitewash or even pipe clay that costs nothing, and the planting of a few native shrubs. Such improvements take labor, but little or no cash outlay, and the results are sometimes striking. Now, we have an attractive though unpretentious farm home, screened, whitewashed, and landscaped at little expense. Such improvements make for wholesome pride in the home place. Indeed, beautification of the yard about the house has a significance that cannot be measured in dollars and cents. When the farm family takes pride in keeping the farmstead and lawn neat and attractive, we may reasonably conclude that the farm business is well managed. Where there is a beautiful and perhaps profitable flower garden, the field crops are likely to be good too. In the South, an outdoor bathroom is a possibility. We plug the drain pipe under the pump, the water is pumped directly into the bathtub, and we are ready for our daily bath. This is a cheap outfit, in line with the extension policy of making the most of things within your means. Of course, the modern pressure tank outfit is better, and many farmers are installing standard plumbing such as this. This girl is a 4-H Club state champion in dressmaking. All the garments seen here are her own handiwork. The knowledge and skill that these girls acquire in this work have a direct bearing on the family welfare. A successful cooperative curb market. Such activities as this represent the occasional commercial development that comes from the live-at-home movement.
I know, right? Feminism did it, right? For black women, right? I know, we joined feminism, and that's what we've been doing the damn thing forever. We've been doing the damn thing. We ain't joined no feminism, and because we joined feminism, we wanted to work. We been was working. We been was using our minds. We been was having a family unit or working as a community. You see, they work together. The black man and the black woman work together. They wasn't calling us math. Oh, don't that you're not feminine enough. You use a masculine energy. Yeah, when we was saving your damn food and saving your ass from getting sick, I ain't hear you call. They didn't call that masculine energy. But let's blame what we have always done. Let's blame it on feminism, because that's what they tell us today, right? That's what they tell us today. Feminism. We want to be men. We're masculine. But every video, we see our people working together. We see our people working together to get to live, just to live. They work together. And this is what we're not going to see again, because we're separate. But this is what made the black community, when we work together. But they're not going to bring this up. No, no, because things got done. Things got done. Things got done. Things ain't getting done now. We got more accomplished than between the 1930s and the 60s and the early 70s. We got more stuff done then than what we do now. We may have more money now. We may be middle class, high class, millionaires, billionaires. But guess what? Nothing is get. Why have a bunch of billionaires and millionaires if nothing is getting done for the community? It makes absolutely no sense. Nothing is getting done for the community. When we had less, as you can see here, more got done. More things got done.
Some of these markets are quite profitable. A cotton gin, operated cooperatively by a group of Negro farmers under the supervision of their county agent. The building itself is not much to look at, but the machinery is in good shape and it does the work. A crowd gathering at a community fair that has become an annual event. Such fairs have both educational and social features, and as a rule, they are well attended. They give extension workers opportunity to discuss current farm problems with the farmers of the community and to take counsel with their local leaders. They also give the girls' 4-H clubs an opportunity to turn an honest penny through the sale of various articles to visitors. This is a rather nifty outfit. Anyway, it seems to suit us. Such community activities sometimes are conducted on a neighborhood scale. Witness this modest exhibit of farm products displayed in a country schoolhouse. Such exhibits stimulate interest and encourage farmers to enter into friendly competition in production. The Extension Service sponsors 4-H summer camps, in which short course instruction in agriculture and homemaking is given. These camps are held in slack seasons. Boys and girls from all parts of the state may meet in such a camp. The expense is small, and there is opportunity for study and profitable association. Here, boys learn the fine points of their profession. For example, a class in stock judging. The agent drives home the points to be considered in judging a dairy cow. Meanwhile, the girls take instruction from other specialists. Here we see a nurse giving instructions to a class of girls in the fundamental principles of first aid. Of course, after study hours, there is opportunity for plenty of fun. Recreation as well as study is carefully supervised. Last but not least among these extension activities are those of this movable school, operated jointly by the Extension Service and Tuskegee Institute to teach farming, homemaking, and hygiene. Here we see the school nurse giving treatment as a preventive against infantile paralysis.
Ah, that was phenomenal. That was phenomenal. Hopefully you guys, because my time is up. Hopefully you guys got something out of this. Hopefully you guys know that when we work them fields, we work them fields. And I specifically said the word, we work the fields. So tomorrow we'll have another lesson. I don't know where we're going to go, but we're going to have another lesson. It won't be this late. I ain't playing with y'all. It will not be this late. It will not be this late. I'm trying to cut down the videos for you guys, cut down the hours for these videos for you guys. But I appreciate and I thank all of you for being here. And I cannot wait to see you tomorrow. And thank you for the growth of this channel. This particular channel, I do not leave me alone, Nicole. I don't need like a whole, like, it doesn't have to be like a big channel. I just want people who enjoy learning. If you enjoy learning and you enjoy talking about what matters and what's going on, so when we leave and cut this off, the information stays with you, and then you can have people that's in the chat, who knows these things, and they can say what they want to say in the chat. Cause see, once I cut off like Nature Boy and stuff like that, I cut it off. But information, it stays with you. And certain things you may have forgotten, some things you may remember, but it'll strike a conversation. But I want to do stuff that's going to stay with you after you cut the internet off. So that's what this channel is all about. So thank you guys. I appreciate you guys. And I don't know if I got a sneeze or not. That sneeze was playing with me. Come out already. So I catch you guys tomorrow. Like I said, this channel, the time is limited, so we gotta go for now. But tomorrow is Saturday, so we're gonna be on it like the Green Hornet. And I don't know what Musa interview that was done. I have not found one yet. The only one I've seen that was done on Musa was 2 months ago. I have not seen one that was done today, because y'all know I'm on it like the Green Hornet. I don't know where we're gonna go tomorrow. Thanks, Jackie. Thanks, Nicole. Thanks, Jimmy. Thank you, no one. And everybody else in the bushes. Y'all can go to bed. Good night. Peace out, and I appreciate you.